another exciting episode of Dayspring Discussions. I'm your host, Sean McGahee. In this show, we talk about movies, TV, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books. If you geek out about it, we're going to talk about it. You can listen to Dayspring Discussions on iTunes, YouTube, Podomatic, and Patreon, and contact Dayspring Discussions on the Facebook group, Twitter account, and dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com. Well, happy weekend, everybody. It is Thanksgiving weekend, Sunday night. Hope you are ready for some turkey, and we have a feast for you right now. Guys, this weekend, Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald, came out in theaters. It's the new film in the Wizarding World. We can call it Wizarding World, right? Mm-hmm. It's not like Harry Potter.
It's called Wizarding World now.
Some people still refer to it as Harry Potter.
Well, I mean, the thing at the beginning of the films now, it's just considered, it's the Wizarding World of Harry Potter.
Exactly. But yeah, like on the logo it says Wizarding World. But the film came out this weekend, so I wanted to talk about this. Obviously, in, the circles that I travel in, it's kind of a big deal, of course. So I had to bring in, of course, my resident Wizarding World expert, Miss Lisa Locke McGahee. Say hello, Lisa.
Hello.
All right, guys. So, for those of you who have not listened to one of our reviews, we go spoilers, of course. So,
full spoiler.
If you haven't seen the movie,
hashtag protect the secrets.
So pause it, okay? Come back later on, and fire back on the social media groups and Gmail account. Let us know what you think as well.
But not spoilers in the comments.
Yeah, not spoilers in the comments. That'd probably be a good idea too. But in any event, so what we do is we'll go through and give kind of general impressions, good thoughts, bad thoughts, and then I have the IMDb page pulled up, and we kind of go through kind of character by character, just make sure we don't miss anything. And then, like I said, you guys fire back and let us know what you think. So, Lisa, you ready to go?
Yes.
All right, guys. So, this is the second film in the new Wizarding World films.
The Fantastic Beasts series.
No, the word Harry Potter was nowhere mentioned in either of these films. Okay.
Well, why would it have been?
Exactly. That's all I'm saying. So it's a brand new era, but it's still directed by David Yates, who I feel like all he does is direct these films.
Well, why would he do anything different now? It's totally working out for him.
And I'm sure he's making a lot of money because of
I'm
it.
sure he is.
Exactly. So I'm sure he's doing pretty good there. But there was allegedly some big spoilers in this one, which I believe, protect the secrets. Yes. There was some spoilers as well. So, Lisa, I know you have many thoughts.
You go first.
You want me to go first?
I want for the impressions, I want you to go first. Because I feel like I always have more to say about the Harry Potter stuff.
Obviously, that's why I brought you on.
Right,
so,
exactly.
Of course. So, I thought it was okay. You could definitely tell it's a middle chapter. There was stuff, they added a couple new characters. The main story arc went deeper into it. It ended kind of on a cliffhanger as well. It was a middle chapter, and it was fine. We got to learn the characters a little bit more. It was okay. Did I love it? No, I didn't love it, mainly because I'm not that big a fan of this world. I enjoy it. I've read the Harry Potter books. I've seen all the movies. I've enjoyed them. I enjoy the characters, but, it's not my forte. There's no lightsabers, so whatever. But bad things about it, just off the top of my head, I mean, nothing really screams bad to me. I'm trying to think what, could be done differently. I guess maybe the fact that in a film like this, of course, you do have a lot of characters, and there's a balance when having that many characters as how you handle them. So I thought some characters really weren't handled as well as some other characters. But I'll go into that more with, even when we can break it down character-wise. But yeah, I mean, one thing I enjoy about the Fantastic Beasts versus the Harry Potter films is that in Harry Potter, we were with students. In the Fantastic Beasts, we're with adults who are full-fledged, wizards that, use all the cool powers and have been doing it for years. They know a little bit more than what, Harry and his brigade does.
His what?
Brigade.
Gotcha.
Yes, what they know. So, but yeah, I thought it was okay. I'm anxious to see the next one and see where it goes. But Go for it. Fire back. Go.
I know. So my overall impressions, I liked it better than the first Fantastic Beasts. I mean, as of yet, I still prefer the Harry Potter series to the Fantastic Beasts series. I mean, obviously Harry Potter came first. It's what I know. I've read all the books. Whatever. That's what introduced us to the Wizarding World. So I think it's going to take a little while longer to get everybody fully invested into these Wizarding World films. But I did like it better than Fantastic Beasts. I mean, as I've said before, I know to you and probably when we did our Fantastic Beasts review a while ago,
Gosh, that was a while
I
ago,
felt
yeah.
like Fantastic Beasts, my biggest issue with that film was it felt like two separate films mashed into one.
Yeah.
I mean, I've said this before. I felt like it was this, like, whimsical adventure chasing animals movie where the animal bits had really nothing to do with the overall story.
Yeah.
And then there was this extra, the actual story of the film.
Which is going to be
which
the
was
overall
separate.
arc kind of
Right.
the film series.
Exactly. And so I just felt like the Beasts part didn't really fit with the movie the first time.
Yeah.
You know, like there were several scenes. Well, for example, in this movie versus that movie. In that movie, The Niffler, they were just chasing him around town.
He was just something fun.
He was just a fun,
Good
off-the-wall thing. They were just chasing him around. He was destroying a jewelry
Yeah.
store or whatever. You know, in this movie, the Niffler had a role.
Uh-huh.
The Niffler assisted Newt to do something.
Yeah.
You know, like in that one, the big beast that, like, ran wild in Central Park that they had to capture, whatever.
Yeah.
Completely irrelevant. You could have taken that entire segment out of the movie, and it wouldn't have changed the plot of the film
I agree.
in any way, shape, or form. This one, the big beast running through the city, was used.
Yeah.
He became a part of the actual story.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of the complaints I had with the first one, they fixed in this one. They still had the magical beast. They were obviously still a part of the story. Newt was still the main character of the story. But they took his magical beasts and they actually gave them a purpose within the film, as opposed to making them these, like, stupid side stories that didn't actually have anything to do with the actual plot of the film, which I thought was better.
Okay, I'm gonna. Here's my thoughts on this too, because you know we went back and we rewatched the first one before we saw Grindelwald. Is it Grindelwald or Grindelwald?
Grindelwald.
Because they say Grindelwald, but then it's W. You know,
Well, it's because of where he's from.
Okay,
Duh.
I'm American. Sue me, okay?
It's just like how the Dumbledore in the stupid movie says Beauxbatons. It's not. It's Beauxbaton because he's French. It's a French word. Grindelwald is how you would say it if you were where he's from.
Well, there you go. See, there you go. All right, but okay. So with his creatures, okay, just kind of jumping ahead a little bit. So the was it Nibbler?
Niffler.
Okay. So we know that.
I like how he claims he read the books, everyone.
Yes, I did many years ago, and I've killed many brain cells since then. Okay. So
Anyway, go ahead.
But okay, so the Niffler, he served a purpose in this one. Yes. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We know we have 3 more films coming.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. J.K. Rowling, and I think maybe the kind of this is again attributes to her talent, her brilliance, or whatever, is playing the long game. Okay.
Oh yeah, she is.
So the Niffler served a purpose in this one, but the moment we saw the Niffler on screen in this film, we knew exactly what he was going to do because they set all of last film what that character was like.
Right.
So so we immediately knew what this thing was capable of and what its traits were.
Mm-hmm.
So again, playing the long game, I guess you could say. And with the creatures, I did that first film. Yeah, it felt like it was 2 separate ones where it's like they're spending most of the movie chasing these creatures, and then at the very end they're like, oh wait,
Here's this actual story that
we
talking
had no
about.
idea what's going on.
Yeah,
exactly.
There's a bigger picture here.
So with Newt, I love with the creatures is, given the fact that he is our main character, how he treats these creatures and how he has an affinity for these magical, fantastic beasts shows his personality.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It definitely tells you who he is, his compassion, his caring. That's really
just the kind of person he really is.
That's what I feel like their purpose is in this franchise or saga or whatever you want to call it, is to be an extension of Newt's personality.
No, I agree.
think it's what it is. So
Yeah.
it gives a better sense of character. So
Yeah.
All right. So general things that stood out to you that you liked besides.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, overall I thought this film was better. I felt like it seemed more cohesive, where the magical creatures were mishmashed into the actual. Like I felt like this movie had a beginning straight through to the end. It was like one consistent storyline where you could the next
there was
scene.
one goal.
Right, the next scene all flowed naturally from the previous scene to where it felt like beginning led to the end. There weren't these like weird offshoot side stories that didn't seem to matter. So I really like that. I like the characters. I like the new characters that they brought in.
Yeah.
I love having Dumbledore in this. I thought Jude Law was awesome.
Oh, he was. He was.
I think he was great. I think he was a perfect choice for Dumbledore.
Uh-huh.
And I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about him, but I think
Yeah.
as soon as he started, as soon as he came on screen as Dumbledore, I was like, oh, this is so
Exactly.
a young
he
Dumbledore.
had that attitude. He's like, whenever he talked to like anybody, especially when he was talking to the Ministry people, he was like the attitude, just like Dumbledore was like, I know more than you.
Yeah,
it's like
whatever.
The way he talks is like,
Yeah,
the way,
even then.
the way he did, in the Harry Potter movie, he's like, I know more than you.
Yeah.
I have the whole plan in my head.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me.
Yeah, but I think it was cool too, and again, spoilers, how you find out that Newt, that in the first film, Newt was there because Dumbledore asked him to be.
Okay, so allegedly in the first one, he was there to collect a rare magical creature. But
No, he was there to return a magical creature.
Okay.
Apparently,
he was there. He was going to Arizona, but he said something about.
It was his
Didn't
bird.
he say something about he was looking for something?
Oh, that was just
and
a
they're
cover.
Like,
Those have been gone for a year or whatever.
Yeah, exactly, like that. So his other cover was to return the creature.
His actual purpose to go was to return that bird.
Yeah, but really,
it was that Dumbledore arranged it so he would stumble upon that bird because he knew that Newt would take it back. Dumbledore arranges everything. It's all
so
like this master plan
he arranged Newt to be in New York,
right, to be a part of it, to help, right.
Because
he's Dumbledore, exactly. So I really liked how and I like all the bits that they tell you about Newt's past. I thought it was really interesting how they showed him and his brother's relationship. And by the way, he and the guy that play brothers, they could be brothers.
They would. They look really good.
Oh my gosh.
And we got a fraction of the brother relationship. I really want them to explore that more too.
Well, and I think they probably will now because, again, spoilers, the fiance dies.
We already got it, yeah. Spoilers.
So I think because of what happens to Lita in the movie, it's going to bring the brothers together.
Yeah.
Because, they seem to have a lot of animosity through their life, like, because their personalities are so different.
Yeah.
I mean, not their personalities, because I feel like they both have similar personalities. They're both very compassionate, caring, loving people.
And that's the thing. We didn't get enough time with his brother, I
right,
thought, too.
Right. But I think that because now with what happened to Lita in the film and the fact that they both loved her,
yeah,
I think that's going to bring them closer together, and we're going to see more of them, their relationship in the next one.
Yeah.
But I thought the whole story with Credence and Lita, and I thought it was really interesting. I mean, obviously we talked about it in the car on the way home. I think there's a few... There's a few things I'm just going to have to trust in JK.
You just want to get it out there? You just throw it, okay, so we had this discussion in the car, and Lisa doesn't like it when I play devil's advocate.
No, that's not true.
That's exactly what you said.
No, it's the way you play devil's advocate.
Okay.
You do it, like, relentlessly. Like, you never can just be like, that's a fair point, but you're just immediately like, no. What about this? What about this? What about this?
Okay. Anyway, so I was talking about how there are things in the film that, kind of contradict things that we have learned throughout the books and in Wizarding World canon.
Don't necessarily...
Can we call it that? Wizarding World canon?
Yeah, it's canon.
Okay, that's fine. So, and I compared it to all these years of being a Star Wars fan when, say the prequels came out and
they changed things.
There was a character called Qui-Gon that taught Obi-Wan, but we were told that Yoda was the one that taught Obi-Wan. Or even, years later when they introduced Ahsoka and everyone's like, well, Anakin never had a Padawan. I never forget. I was thinking about this on the way home too. It was the 2008 Chicago Comic-Con, the one I went to with Bryce. Mm-hmm. Okay? And I was at that panel with Star Wars Clone Wars. And this guy comes up to ask a question. And he was like, well, Anakin never had a Padawan. And the guy running the panel was like, how do you know that? Mm-hmm. And it's about adding to the story. Just because we didn't know it then doesn't mean we can't add to it.
And I'm not disagreeing with you at that. I'm just saying there are a few things in this film that I'm going to have to trust that she's going to explain it later.
Long game.
Because there are a few things that seem to contradict things that were said in the Harry Potter films.
Exactly.
But that's not saying that just the things that weren't said. Like you're saying, just because they didn't say it happened didn't mean it didn't happen. I'm saying there's a few things in this that directly contradict things that were said. For example, in the Harry Potter books, it says clearly that Dumbledore was a transfiguration teacher. He was well published in Transfiguration Weekly, and he was a transfiguration expert.
Okay.
And in this film, they have him teaching Defense Against the Dark Arts.
Okay.
So that is it's a deviation from what we have been told in the books that Dumbledore did. I'm not saying that, so that's different than just saying maybe they never mentioned it. They change what they've said that he did, which is fine. I'm sure that there is another whatever. I also think they brought McGonagall in too soon. I don't think she really was at the school then, but whatever. That's too long ago. This was like the mid-20s.
1927.
Yeah. I think...
It's 9 months after the first film.
Right. I don't think that McGonagall was there yet at that point. But anyway. Anyway, that's my one thing, was that they had Dumbledore teaching Defense Against the Dark Arts.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let me ask you this, okay? Did it say specifically how long he taught Transfiguration?
No, it didn't specify from what year to from what year.
So he
but no,
Dark
time out. Let me just explain. He was the Transfiguration teacher when Voldemort was a student at the school, which was after this time period. But McGonagall is the Transfiguration teacher, so why would her and Dumbledore have bounced back and forth teaching Transfiguration? If McGonagall and Dumbledore are both teaching at the school in the 20s, and he's teaching Defense Against the Dark Art, that means that she's teaching Transfiguration. Why would they swap?
Did they say she was?
No, but she's a fucking cat. She is a Transfiguration. That's her
teaching potions right now, for all we know.
Oh my god!
I'm just saying. You have said they have to teach this and
only
this.
No, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying these people have an expertise.
Okay.
They go through. They do their newts. Their whatever. They have an area. Teachers don't just bounce around the subjects they teach. Do you know anything about teaching? It's not like math teachers are math teachers for several years. Then all of a sudden they're like, woohoo! I think I'll teach English this year. It doesn't work that way. I'm just saying it's a flaw, okay? You can play devil advocate all you want. I'm saying it's a flaw. The fact that I think if they hadn't brought McGonagall into this film, I wouldn't be as because then you could say maybe he did start teaching it later, although that seems weird. But then when she came into the school, then he went to Defense Against. I don't know. It doesn't really make any sense to me. I don't follow. Okay. I don't follow. Just because I know that it does say in the books that when Voldemort was a student, Dumbledore was Transfiguration teacher, and they mentioned several times that he was well studied and well published in Transfiguration journals, etc. Okay. He was an expert in Transfiguration. Okay. Granted, he's an expert in fucking everything.
Because he's Dumbledore.
But teachers in general don't just bounce around at their subjects, and don't bring Snape wanting to teach against the Dark Arts into this. Okay, that's a whole nother side story. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to move on past the Dumbledore teaching thing.
I'm just saying, Michael Jordan played basketball and baseball.
Oh, yeah. Okay, look how well that went.
Yeah, he hit a couple balls.
Anyway, the other big thing I have is the Lestrange thing.
Okay. Yeah, I was curious about this too. Go ahead.
So, because in this movie, they talk a lot about how the Lestrange line has ended.
Because
Corvus, her brother, Lita's brother, Corvus, who was the last Lestrange, died in that boat.
I feel like, is it just me, or did it feel like they were trying to do some kind of Titanic thing? Like they were on the Titanic or something.
No, they weren't on Titanic.
I don't know.
That was way past.
It was whatever.
The Titanic was in the teens.
It was boats sinking, so I immediately affiliated with that with Titanic.
Well, that they weren't doing that. That was just you.
Okay.
Anyway.
Whatever. I love Leo.
Gosh. Anyway, so they are talking about the Lestrange, the end of the Lestrange line, and that he's the end of it or whatever, because then they're trying to figure out if Credence really is him, whatever. So, in this film, though, so then you discover that Corvus really is dead. Credence is not Corvus. Lita confirms that she swapped the babies on the ship, and the other baby died, drowned.
Yes.
So Corvus drowned, which would make her the last Lestrange. And then she dies in this film, which means the Lestrange line is ended. However, in the Harry Potter universe, there are Lestranges.
So how far do we know it goes back? Because we said, what's her name? Bellatrix, right? Bellatrix Lestrange, okay?
It's because of her husband. Her husband is a Lestrange. She's a black.
So
Bellatrix, Narcissa, and Nymphadora Tonks' mom, I forget her name, are sisters. They are blacks.
Okay. So she married into the
She married Rodolphus Lestrange.
What do we know about him? What do we know about anything about his
Just
parents?
that he's evil and he's a Lestrange.
Okay.
So I think the fact that they're using that name in this book, like they could have made that family line any name. Why would they pick one that we know of?
Yeah.
Unless it's the same line.
Okay.
Because the Harry Potter world, the magical world, is all about these pure-blooded family lines. And the Lestranges were one of those pure-blooded family lines. So, saying that, the fact that they're using that name, And I mean, it plays into the Harry Potter world a lot, like in The Cursed Child. The villain in that, she's a Lestrange. She's Bellatrix's daughter.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. Yeah, from her and Voldemort.
Voldemort,
Yeah,
right.
okay.
So she's a Lestrange too. I mean, by blood, because
Yeah.
Bellatrix was married
gotcha.
to Lestrange. But either way, it's this pure-blooded line. So if it's ended now, unless Lita had a baby that nobody knew about,
Okay.
that's out there somewhere in secret, then I don't understand. If that line is ended, where does it come back?
Okay, so here's what I thought about, too. How do we know Corvus is actually dead?
She saw him drown.
Did she?
I guess.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. In these type of movies, you never can, because everyone comes back, right? So
Well, especially, too, when you find out, full spoiler, that Credence is a Dumbledore.
yeah.
That means that woman who was trying to get the baby in the water is a Dumbledore.
Okay. So the baby she swapped with was a Dumbledore. Like, she took from the Dumbledore family.
Apparently,
Okay.
they traded. Yes.
That's cool. Okay. And there's this. So Dumbledore's brother, we saw him in Deathly Hallows. Okay. He had Dumbledore, Albus. We'll just say Albus because Albus had a brother and a sister, right?
Yes.
Okay. And now we're saying there's another brother.
But no, it could be a cousin. It doesn't have to be
okay.
Dumbledore.
Okay.
We don't know
Okay.
anything about Dumbledore's father.
Okay. There we go.
We know that Dumbledore's parents were both pure-blooded. He was not mixed. He was pure-blooded. So this could be, because that can't be Dumbledore's mother,
Yeah.
because she's dead.
Okay.
Dumbledore's mother died before Ariana did.
Okay.
And Ariana was dead before Dumbledore was teaching at
Wait a
Hogwarts.
minute, but this was years before, right? I'm trying to, I guess timeline-wise, I'm trying to
Okay,
match everything up.
Ariana died that summer that Dumbledore and Grindelwald were children, when they
Okay.
were like fresh out of
I'm
school.
just trying to think where does the boat sinking fall in? What, like, do we know where that is? Like, is that
Well-
before they're falling out or after they're falling out?
Well,
you know?
no, I guess we don't know that. So Lita in this story, how old would you assume that Lita, because Lita and Newt are about the same age.
She's got to be what, late 20s, early 30s, maybe.
I don't know, maybe.
I mean, the actress herself, I think, is around that age.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know what year Newt finished school or whatever.
Yeah.
But Dumbledore was a teacher at the school when they were students.
Okay.
So regardless of timeline, Dumbledore was already a teacher when Lita and Newt were 11, 12 years old.
Okay.
So if she was, say, 6, 7 when that happened, because
Okay.
she looked
Yeah.
on the ship, she looked like she was maybe 6, 7, 8,
I would say almost
maybe
10.
even 9 or 10. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say 10.
So if it was just a few years before then, Dumbledore was already teaching at the school.
Yeah.
You would assume.
Maybe we'll say it's like maybe 20 years
So even
later.
if he just started teaching at the school, let's just say, if he just started teaching at the school when Lita and Newt started school there, and say that happened with Lita on the ship 2 years earlier, maybe 3. If that was the summer that Dumbledore and Grindelwald
had their falling out.
either way, that summer was when Ariana died, and his mother was already dead.
Okay.
So this couldn't possibly have been his mother and his brother on the ship.
Okay. I forgot too. So isn't Severus related to Bellatrix?
Snape's no.
No, not Severus.
Sirius. Yeah,
yes.
he's a black. They're
He's a black-
cousins.
Okay, they're cousins, but not on the whatever.
Not on the Lestrange
Okay.
side. No,
Oh, that's
Bellatrix, Narcissa, who is Malfoy's mom,
Okay.
and Tonks's mom.
Okay.
The 3 of them are sisters. They're blacks.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So yeah, Narcissa,
So Tonks and
Tonks and Bellatrix are cousins. Tonks and
Bell-
Sirius were cousins.
Okay, and then Tonks and Bellatrix are sisters.
Bellatrix was Tonks's aunt.
Okay.
Tonks's mother was Bellatrix's sister.
Okay. Got
Bellatrix
it.
and
Got
Narcissa.
it.
And I can't forget what Tonks's mom's name is. It's something crazy. Narcissa, Bellatrix, and
I think
I don't
I
remember.
think the audience will
Andromeda. I think it's Andromeda.
forgive you. Okay.
Anyway,
this is why I brought her on, guys.
Those
This is why I
three.
brought her on.
Those 3 are sisters.
I have no idea.
Those 3 are sisters.
You could be making this
and
up for all I know.
Those 3 are sisters, and they're blacks, and their cousins were Sirius and his brother.
Yeah.
They were cousins.
Okay.
Regulus. They were cousins.
Okay. Because I know Sirius was in there some way.
Yes.
You know, with
'cause he's a black. Because they're
Okay.
blacks.
Okay.
Bellatrix.
Okay. Where were we? We were talking about Corvinus. Okay. So Corvus. Yes. And the Dumbledore and how Credence could be a Dumbledore.
He's got to be, if he is a Dumbledore, he's got to be a cousin of
Okay.
Dumbledore's. He can't be a brother.
Okay.
I mean, just age-wise and with the story, I mean, it doesn't make sense for... I mean, Kendra was already dead.
Yeah.
So it couldn't possibly have been a brother.
Do we know anything about Albus's aunts or uncles?
No, they don't. They never mention anything about Dumbledore's family in the books besides the fact that his father murdered some muggles because they like basically made his sister a squib.
Okay, so how about this? Grindelwald, one that told him about it, right?
Told Credence.
Credence, yes. Mm-hmm. So he knew, which means Albus knows.
Yeah, I'm sure Albus knows.
Okay, so...
Albus always knows.
Albus always knows, of course. So I'm curious, I want to know how did he find that information about Credence, and I mean, is this really what is Albus's mission, with Newt, is to, of course, he wants to save Credence, but not just because he's, what do you call it, the powerful people, what do you call them?
Who?
When they space out or fog out or whatever.
Because he can. What is that?
What are they called? They're called something. I mean, he doesn't want to save him simply because he's that thing, or he turns into that thing.
Oh my god, I'm having a total brain fart. He wants to save him because
he's, a relative.
He just wants to save people. Yeah. He just likes to save people.
Uh-huh. He's Albus.
He's Albus.
He's Albus, of course.
And he doesn't want to give Grindelwald another weapon.
Yes, well, that's the thing I found interesting, too, is the whole reason that Grindelwald wanted Credence is because, hey, he's the only one he feels powerful enough to take down Albus, who feels is the only thing that stopped him from
the thing is, though, goal. What's interesting, if you look back into the first movie and this one, when he first started seeking out that kid, the child that he was looking for, he didn't know he was looking for Credence.
Yeah, exactly.
So he didn't know who Credence was until after the fact. Yeah. Like, it was like once it was discovered that Credence was, why can't I think of the word?
Yeah.
That thing.
It's going to drive you crazy.
It is going to drive me crazy.
But yeah, he knew that he knew there was a bloodline, a Dumbledore out there, but he didn't know if there was...
Well, and he may not have even, it may have been information he knew that he didn't even, it wasn't even like, like something you just know in passing but don't even think about. Okay. And then after he discovered that Credence was once he discovered that Credence was the one who had that power, then he was like, maybe it's like that little bit of information he recalled from his past. He was like, maybe that's what it. And then, or it may have just really hit him when he saw Credence with the Phoenix.
Yeah, that's true. Could be, yeah.
Because he would have known that, being as close to Dumbledore.
Yeah, because they talked about the Phoenix at the beginning of the film, and then you saw the little... which I didn't even notice, like, the bird. I was like, oh yeah, that's the little bird that, in the Harry Potter movie, you saw in Dumbledore's office, it burned up and, popped up again, and all that, what Phoenixes do. So, okay, we done talking general thoughts?
I guess.
Okay, so let's dive in a little bit. I think
were those the only two big things that I had complaints about?
I think so, yeah. I mean, that's why we're going to go through characters and you go for that. I think we covered a lot of it, though, so we'll just go. So let's start off with the man of the hour, Grindelwald, played by Johnny Depp. Thoughts on him? I mean, you got to admit, though, Johnny Depp in the last decade has been touch and go.
Yes.
So I thought he did a good job
for Johnny
Depp in this one.
The only thing I don't like about it is I just can't see him and Dumbledore together.
You can't see,
he's supposed to be
Jude Law and Johnny Depp together.
No, like that's the whole thing. Like he's supposed to be. I mean, people who are really into the story realize that he was his love interest. I mean, they were.
Oh yeah, they definitely insinuated on that.
Right. I mean, and J.K. has said. I mean, they were. But anyway, and I just can't see them.
Yeah.
Johnny Depp just doesn't seem like him and Jude Law. I just don't see it. Like.
Right, fair enough. Okay. But yeah, I mean, okay.
I mean, I think he did fine.
Grindelwald, of course, is supposed to be very manipulative too. Did you feel like he did a good job with
that? Yeah, no, I think he played Grindelwald well.
Yeah, I mean the way he played Queenie.
He totally played Queenie.
Oh yeah, he did, definitely.
He manipulated her like
we'll get into that
hardcore,
in a minute.
Which is interesting because she can actually read his thoughts, which means that he was like completely like mind gaming her 100%.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the actual main character, Eddie Redmayne as Newt Scamander. I think he does the character well. I think he plays exactly how he's supposed to. Oscar-winning actor. He's fine. Does a great job. And I love that. Again, I think the Beasts are just an extension of showing what he is like. In this one, they were talking to him about picking a side. He couldn't stay neutral. He's got to choose one or the other. At the end of the film, he actually did choose a side. Shocker, he chose the good side. I know, but fine job there. Still does a great job. Nothing
I thought he did a
too
great
big
job
on that. I want to jump down though, real quick, to his love interest, Tina, played again by Catherine Watterson. So this is one of those characters I was talking about, how a lot of characters, and I felt a lot of them weren't serviced enough, and I felt like she wasn't serviced enough. I mean, the first film I think she was okay, but this one I felt like she was just there as Newt's love interest.
See, she's one of my least favorite characters in it anyway, so I don't even care. Like, I'd be fine if they phased her out.
I think they can do something with her moving on because, let's jump into the quartets, I guess you would say, of Tina, Queenie, Jacob, and Newt. Okay? Granted, you have Jacob and Queenie who are in love, or, we'll talk about that in a sec. But, at the end of the film, Queenie walks away and Jacob's, kind of heartbroken about it. They've known each other for less than a year, okay? Tina's her sister, okay? Why was she not freaking out more about this? Or why didn't they show her freaking out more about this, I mean, if something happened with your sister, you'd be freaking out. Exactly. I just feel like she should have had more an emotional response, or they should have showed a more emotional response. Although she's not an emotional character, I will give you that.
Yeah.
But it's something like that rocks your world. I feel like it should have shown more of her, and maybe they will later on. Again, 3 more movies. Maybe in this next film after this, she's a mess because of it. I don't know, but again, I felt like she didn't serve a lot a purpose.
No, I agree. But like I said, she's my least favorite character. So I would be fine if she phased out completely.
Fair enough. All right, so let's go to the other two, Jacob and Queenie.
I love them. I'm really sad that she left at the end.
I couldn't believe
I mean, I can though. I can believe it because if you look at it, the whole dilemma that they're having in this film is they want to get married, but in that time period, Muggles and wizards just couldn't do it. It's against their law. And so I totally see where he's coming from, not marrying her, because he doesn't want her to be imprisoned because of them being married. And I see where she's coming from, where she's like, she just wants to be happy, and being happy means marrying to him so they can have children and have a family. And in that time period, you didn't have kids out of wedlock if you could help it. And she's trying to do the right thing. She wants to have kids and a family and be with him. So I can totally see where and that's the whole thing. Villains always come out of there's always like some sense. I mean, they're not generally just horribly evil people. They have a goal, and they
play to your weaknesses. Again, let's go back to Star Wars.
Right.
Palpatine played to
or
Anakin.
Either way, looking back at like Voldemort, which is what we know. If we're gonna stay in the Harry Potter world,
yeah, you can.
I mean,
live in better worlds.
I'm just saying Voldemort or Grindelwald. He's telling these people we shouldn't have to be subservient. Like we shouldn't have to be in hiding. Like, which is the same Voldemort, same thing. Yeah. For the greater good, we need to come out and we should be ruling this world. Where in that case, we would be out in the open with Muggles, which means you'd be able to marry them because you don't have to hide from them, which is why it's illegal right now to marry a Muggle, because how are you supposed to hide from the Muggles if you're married to the Muggles?
I know Voldemort was all about pure blood. Is the same way?
Not as much.
Because I felt like he was feeding her a line, be like, yeah, you could marry him, but really it's like, I wouldn't let you marry him. No,
he's not all the pure blood. Okay. Grindelwald was just all about Muggles coming out of hiding.
Okay.
I mean, because he had a different motivation. I mean, him and Dumbledore, when they talked, like back in the day when they were young and they were stupid and whatever, when you read all the stuff about, and especially,
I
especially when you read Deathly Hallows, in that book, they talk a lot about when because Dumbledore and Voldemort or Grindelwald originally believed they wanted the same thing, and it was just for the wizards not to have to hide. Originally their goals were pure. It was just that the wizards have these powers. Why should we be hiding and letting the Muggles run the world when we have these powers that we could use to and vote for Dumbledore to better the world? But we shouldn't be subservient in hiding from them.
Only there was a comic book about something like this that Stan Lee wrote.
We're not talking about that.
I'm just saying, I'm just relating it. Go. He's giving me a look.
Well, quit. We're talking about Harry Potter right now.
I'm just saying, it's relatable.
They're all relatable. All of them. You can find the same story arcs in every single long-term creative story. It's not a new trend for the people that are more...
So he was manipulating Queenie, of course, and I don't know, I guess it was that beginning part there where it's like, she put him under a spell to do what she wanted. And I guess that to me, that was kind of the beginning of it, the foreboding, I guess you could say, that things weren't going to go well for him in that sense. But now, Grindelwald now that she's on his side, I feel like has a very powerful weapon.
Oh yeah,
in her.
Yeah,
too.
and he knows it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was using her there at the end.
Yeah, totally was. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll see where that one goes.
Mm-hmm.
For me too, it's about okay. You have these, definitely the core 4 characters aside from Grindelwald and Dumbledore.
Mm-hmm.
These 4 characters, and yes, this movie ended dark, of course. I think for Newt, being that he's the main character, I think out of these other 3, one of them's not going to make it out alive. Possibly even 2 of them.
I don't know. I don't know because we don't know where these are going yet.
I'm just saying. I feel like as the character, of course, Newt suffered a loss in this one, but I feel like as his journey to help Dumbledore defeat Grindelwald, he's going to lose a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know because all you really ever know from the Harry Potter books about the whole Grindelwald time period was that he imprisoned his enemies in Nurmengard, which they showed that castle. That's where he was.
Okay, yeah,
at the end.
castle.
That was what he made his prison. And the only other thing is that Dumbledore defeated him in this epic battle or this epic encounter. They never said it was a battle, so you don't ever get the impression that it's like a Battle of Hogwarts type battle where there's all these people involved.
Did it say if anyone else was there? Like
no,
Newt,
there's nothing.
Okay.
There's nothing. Newt is not mentioned at all in the Harry Potter
I'm just saying
books.
he's the main character, so I feel like he should be part of.
I'm not
the
saying
main
he
team.
wasn't. I'm saying that in the Harry Potter books, all that was ever mentioned about Grindelwald was that he imprisoned his people in Nurmengard and that Dumbledore defeated him in a battle.
Okay.
You don't know anything. Newt is literally only ever mentioned as the author of Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah.
There's no other mention of Newt in those books.
Fair enough.
Because when she wrote them, she didn't have the story in mind yet. But anyway, or maybe she did. I don't know. But she did. It wasn't part of the Harry Potter books.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you don't know if that fight between Dumbledore and Grindelwald is like just the two of them, like a duel. I mean, or if it's I don't think it is implied that it's a huge battle with all these people. I think it's more implied that it's
the two of them.
Finally Grindelwald has built enough power, or finally he finds a way to destroy that blood pact.
Yeah, where he feels like he can take Dumbledore on.
No, I mean Dumbledore. I'm saying Dumbledore. No,
okay.
He's not going to take on Dumbledore because he has that. They have a blood pact. They cannot fight each other. But I think now that Dumbledore has the blood pact, if he can find a way to destroy it, then that's when he goes and he defeats Grindelwald.
I get what you're saying, because I didn't think about that, because at the end of the film, Dumbledore does get the blood pack, and I'm sure he's going to find a way to, like when he keeps on saying, I can't move against him,
he literally can't.
But I just thought about the opposite way. That's why Grindelwald wants Credence, because he can't move against Dumbledore,
No.
so he's trying to find someone strong enough to do it for him.
Yes.
Boom! There we go. Got it. Okay.
On board now?
It's all right. Hey, the wheels just had to turn a little faster to get there, okay?
Yes.
There we go. All right. Moving on. Let's go.
You skipped a bunch, by the way.
I know, but they're not really that important characters, a lot of them. So let's go back to Lestrange, played by Zoe Kravitz. Her character in general, how did you feel? Because
I thought it was cool. I liked it.
She did play an important part in the story, of course, with her backstory. But again, it's one of those things where we had so many, characters juggling in the air. You could tell it wasn't as the story got almost like halfway through the film that she started being more and more, and you realized she was more of an important character. I feel like they didn't set it up well enough, because at first I was just like, okay, she's Newt's ex who's marrying his brother. And,
well, I think that's what they wanted. I think that's what they wanted you. They didn't want you to realize her importance. I don't think off the bat. I think that was done on purpose.
Yeah.
Where her backstory was slowly revealed through the film to when you get to the point where you really see the epic. What that means when they're in the tomb, and then she's kind of telling the whole story about her brother and her family, and what happened and why she really, what has been torturing her all her life is that she knows that all of her life, since she was a child, she's known that she was responsible for the death of her brother, and she's had that fear and that anger and that pain inside of her that making her hard.
Can I ask you, because she got picked on a lot by school, picked on a lot at school. Why was that again?
I mean, I think she was just weird kid. Yeah,
okay.
I mean, she was a Lestrange, so their family is not known for being nice people.
Okay.
So I think she had that negative bit, but instead of getting in like Draco does, where he gets in with this other crony people who follow him around, I think she was kind of a loner. And
okay.
But I think it shows a lot of it is because she had that fear in her.
Yeah.
You know, like when they did the thing with the boggart, and you see that her fear was the fact that she, you know, death. Like she killed her brother. She felt. I think she just carried around a lot of pain and a lot of, you know, it kept her isolated from her peers.
Okay, fair enough. All right, you want to talk anymore about Newt's brother Theseus?
No, I think he was fine.
Yeah, he was fine.
He just literally could have been his brother for real.
Yeah, I mean that was a good casting, definitely on their part. Let's skip to Credence and Nagini.
Yeah, that was interesting.
How do you Nagini? You know,
I thought the whole thing was cool, like the Nagini thing, in that there's this condition. I don't know what that is, where you can turn. I know. Well, you can turn into an animal, and then, but at some point, you can't change back, and you're cursed to be that animal forever. Which is interesting because she definitely lived longer than a normal life. Because for God's sake, Nagini.
Yeah, the snake is.
Yeah, I mean, if she's like probably in her 20s there, in the 20s. Then, you know, when Harry
Potter's in the 80s, right?
Well, no, Harry's the same age as me, basically, in real, like, not as Mimi. He was born in 1981. So, like, in real time, he's like Mimi's age.
Yeah. So, like, the events of
Harry
Potter.
Yeah, that, I mean,
take place in, like, what, 90s?
Yeah, midnight.
Mid-90s.
They would have graduated high school in like 1999.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, it would have been in the 90s. Okay, cool.
So she'd have been like 100.
Yeah, exactly.
Already. So
yeah,
I mean,
well, it's again, it's going to be interesting to see where, because now they gave you that little bit about what could and probably will happen to her. I'm just curious again, because all we know from her is that she was Voldemort's snake. You know, we don't. That was essentially an evil snake. You know, so how does she become an evil snake?
Well, when you're stuck as a snake for years and years, and you finally find a human that you can talk to.
Yeah, that could be it. Okay, fair enough. And then, of course, I think the last character really I want to cover is, again, going back to Jude Law as Albus Dumbledore. I mean,
I thought he was great.
I thought he was great. He did a great job. I can't wait to see him do more of it.
I love Jude Law anyway.
I think, yeah. Okay, well, there you go, guys. I think that's about all the main characters, really, as far as covering anybody. There's no one else. Oh, Nicholas Flamel.
Oh, yeah, that was
interesting. Nicholas Flamel was in it. We saw the stone, too, right?
Yeah, that was the stone.
The stone as well. I'm curious what they're going to do with him, because he's around at the end. So I'm curious, he's going to be the next one. He's going to help him out more.
I don't know.
Well,
I kind of hope it's just a one-off.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I think it was maybe just a little, what do they want to call it? Wink or so. But we'll see how it goes. All right. Well, I think that's about it. Anything else you want to cover?
No.
I think we've covered all the characters, covered all the main points, really, have to do with the story. But yeah, after we had this discussion, any other final thoughts about Crimes of Grindelwald?
No, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing where the story goes. I mean, I'm sure that, I trust JK. So, I mean, I'm sure she has a plan for where this is going.
Just going from the one movie to this one, and like I said, with the, I'm going to forget the creature's name again, Nympho, Narwhal, Niffler, how, how she used that character to introduce that character in the first one, to actually use that in the second, and even with Newt, how we saw his love for these beasts carry over, and again describe his personality. I think she's very smart in her storytelling. So that's,
well, I mean, if you just even look at the Harry Potter books, the first one, I mean, that was 7 books, long books. That was many, and she knew the end game when she started.
Like any good writer, they have an outline of the whole story, and you just gotta. Things might change in between, but the outline, the broad sense of it all stays the same. So I'm sure she has the broad sense of where this is all going. So, cool. All right, guys. Well, that's going to be it for us today. I don't know if I'm going to get to another show this week because it is the holidays. So, might not. So, this might be the only one I do. So, in which case, enjoy your Thanksgiving, and we will talk some more later. But that's going to be it, guys. Time for you to fire back on the social media groups and Gmail account. Let me know what you think about the Crimes of Grindelwald.
Grindelwald.
I said Grindelwald.
You're saying Grindelwald.
Anyway, I say a lot of stuff wrong. The people who listen to me know I say stuff wrong all the times. They're used to it. Anyway, let me know what you think about the movie, guys, and of course, your thoughts on it. And that's going to be it. So until next time, may the Force be with us all.